Guess who's back? Back again. Tell a friend. I'm back home. So obviously I'm here. This is my bookshelf. And I'm here to bring you my July TBR after half a month of not having a TBR up. That's okay. So let's call this like what I'm reading, because I've technically finished several books. But I have filmed this several times, or I did try to film it, and it turns out that my phone doesn't like it when I try and film in 4K. I can't do that. From the phone shutting down, to the files not syncing up with the audio, to sometimes just a constant fixed video but the sound changes. I don't understand why. So I'm just gonna stop trying. I've tried it before, it didn't work. So let's just do it with the front camera and just keep what we had. What we had was good, if not perfect. So this month, I am reading more, and I think part of that, well, I know part of that is that I'm back home. It means I have more time to myself, and it's just, you can get back in the swing of things. And hopefully I'll be able to finish this TBR, which I don't think is too ambitious, but it's worth knowing there were a lot of big books. So we'll see how successful that is. But for July, it is Independence Day, or it was Independence Day, so I decided I wanted to theme my TBR around Independence Day, American history. And it's about, I guess, learning about American history and reflecting on American history, both from the Revolution and onwards. Also, it's my attempt to, I think, remedy the fact that I really haven't been reading history this year, despite my fact that I own so many, because I really like them, honestly. So I'm going to try my best to get through these. And honestly, I am getting through them, so let's talk about the actual books. Okay, first things first, a book that I've already finished, which is another Library of America edition. This one being Frederick Douglass's autobiographies. And if you recall, if you were here back in February, I read the first one, Narrative of a Life, Frederick Douglass, and then I was going to read this month and have read My Bondage and My Freedom. And without making this a review, because this is not a review video, I'll say that I absolutely, it was fantastic, a fantastic memoir. I approached it a little trepidatious, not that I didn't find the first one valuable, it just didn't feel as well fleshed out as this one. The writing and the storytelling, it all felt very deliberate in a way that the first one was not quite that. They overlap in a lot of ways, although it's not necessarily the same exact story. I mean, obviously they're both about him and his life, and the second one, his life is extended some, but it's more than that. It's about looking at his life from a different perspective, and including his life as a slave. That's a big part of it. My Bondage and My Freedom, I think, is the name of it. And the difference in this one is, I feel like the first one was about getting his story written down, making sure someone knew that the world knew his story, and the next one was about him thinking about that story from a deeper perspective, and sort of digging into it and really reflecting on it, and forcing the world to acknowledge the dark sins that are the foundation of America. And I wanted to read the third one in this, but I don't think I will, just because I have so many others to read and I'm already halfway through. I mean, technically I'm reading this Women Racing Class, but I don't think I'm going to get to it. I mean, I've just barely started. I basically need to start it over. It's been on my TBR for so long now, it's basically been put down indefinitely until I get back to it. Next is not a history book, so I'll save that. I'll get these three. The first one's going to be a book that I already finished, and I just absolutely adored, and that is going to be Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi and the Lessons of Power by Suzanne Page. And this is a biography by the journalist Suzanne Page about Nancy Pelosi, particularly with a focus on her time in politics. It does look at her early life, but that early life, I think, was really meant to just be a sort of way of looking at Nancy Pelosi through a different lens. If you don't know, Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, the first woman Speaker of the House, and one of the few Speaker of the Houses ever to lose power and then regain it again as Speaker of the House. That's all I'm going to say about it. I have a written review on my blog if you want to check it out, but I'll be doing a full video review of this. It's fantastic, but check out my review of it when it comes out. I'm also in the process of reading The Glorious Cause by Robert Middlecoff. And if you were here last year, which I know was a long time ago at this point, I did try and read this for an Independence Day reading blog that I was doing. This is a book about the American Revolution, the first book in the Oxford, I think, history series, which I read the Battle Cry of Freedom, Civil War, and that was when I got exposed to this. I read the Civil War one because I wanted to learn about the Civil War more. I decided to pick this one up. I was more interested in the second one in the series, which is basically about post-American Revolution, when America was first being founded, and when the nation was really being solidified. But I figured if I was going to read that, I might as well, I really need to read this first to get a good sense of it. I put it down last year because I realized I overwhelmed myself. Even though I was reading more, I was still trying to fit this in a week vlog or less, and it was just too much. It was also dull, and I wasn't retaining it, and I decided to approach it this year again with the hopes of, am I filming? I am filming. sorry. I'm so paranoid about my phone failing. I am filming, right? Damn it, I'm not even sure anymore. Okay, I was filming. So anyways, I wanted to approach this again and give it more time to really just sit on and ponder, and especially after taking 2 months to finish Tale of Genji, which, spoilers, I did finish that in June. I think I recognized the value of letting myself pace when it comes to a big book. And my instinct is to finish a book within a few days, like all at once, before I move on to another one. But some of these, like, when they get, there's a lot in there, a lot to unpack. Sometimes it takes time, and that's what I'm giving to it. I'm almost halfway, actually, so I'm making good progress. It's getting kind of dull, but I mean, it's a lot of details. I don't think Robert McCullough is the most effective writer, but it does what it's supposed to do, I suppose. One thing I'm thinking about as well is how it treats the history of slavery in America, and it really is not mentioned much at all, but it's something I'm thinking about, is I guess how this traditional historical book about American history sort of approaches that issue in the past. Something that I think it's well known as something often overlooked or often treated poorly in American history. Next is, I'd say, one that's slower on the priority list just because it's so long, and I have several others to read too, but you know, I'm not giving up still. Black Reconstruction in America, 1860 to 1880, by W.E.B. Du Bois. And this is one that I've had on my anti-racist TBR for a while. Probably wouldn't have been the first book on that shelf to pick up. The reason for that, I think, is that, for a lot of reasons. First off, it's thick and intimidating. The title and the cover, it all feels very academic in what it's trying to do, which made me very worried about how easily it'll be for me to get through it, basically. Sort of like with The Glorious Cause. But Maura from Books Like Row talked very highly about this in our diversity live show that we did a while back on, I think it was actually from Bookish Realms channel, and I had to pick it up, give it a try, and I feel like this month is a great month to do that as this is sort of the Independence Month, the month where we reflect on American history. Now moving on to books that are not necessarily American history, and the first one we'll talk about, or first set rather, is going to be Octavia Butler's Survivor. Still have to finish this. I have 2 hours left on the ebook. I've just been slow to pick this up because we have had the live show, and I have to start not finishing it for that. I haven't had a lot of motivation to do it because it's not on audio. It's also older in the sense that it wasn't, I've talked about this enough, but you know, Octavia Butler didn't love this book, so it hasn't been republished, and I think that sort of shows, and I'm just slow to pick it back up. But I think I will. I mean, I'm confident that I will, because I absolutely have to finish this book, which I'm not worried about once I only needs a couple days for this, I think, because it's so short, it's on audio. All the other ones have been really quick, fast-paced reads. I'm excited to get to this, to finish this series off for Octavia Butler Slow Read, hosted by Jerry from Onyx Pages. And check it out and join us, actually, if you're at all interested. You don't have to read the book. You can still come in and listen to the conversation on her channel, or join the actual event by searching for Octavia Butler Slow Read. It's also kind of sad, though, to finish this. I'm excited to finish this series, but also very sad because there's only 2 series, I guess 3, in Octavia Butler's entire selection, and this is a big chunk of her work now completed that I'll never be able to read for the first time again. And then finally, we have one more book I want to show you, which is going to be from the Baldwin Library of America edition. And back, I think it was in June, I said I was going to do an RNG, or ask y'all's opinion, and I just decided I'm not going to do that because really Giovanni's Room is the only queer book, and that was the goal, was to read it for the Queerlit Readathon. And I did not get to it, and because of my inability to read as much as I wanted to the last couple months, I'm gonna have to reflect on my TBRs moving forward for the next few months, sort of reassess the books I had intended on reading and consider which books that I missed I would rather read, if that makes sense. There's a reason I picked them first, and I'm gonna try and move books in those TBRs to my next couple months of TBRs to get to them. Not that I feel like I have to, as much as I hate not finishing a TBR, but more because I just really want to read them. I think that's everything, and I'm sorry there's noise in the background, so if y'all hear them, but I think that's everything. I'll have a wrap up for June, and technically the one book I read in May up in a few days as well, or hopefully in a week at least. But until next time, thank you all so much for catching up with me and watching. And if you made it this far, why don't you give me, I don't know, a bell if you found like a Liberty Bell, otherwise just any bell will do. But again, thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.